On our previous video, we effectively transformed our ink equation mathematically to a text equation mathematically, and this is really important in terms of addressing systems of equations for linear relation. Now, in this video, we're going to build on that particular skill by focusing on how are we going to be generating the solution to this particular equations, and also most importantly, what are the methods that are associated with finding that particular solution to these particular equations that are shown right here. So in here, we're going to dive into the following. We have this already highlighted for a linear equation, and we're going to look at another one later on, which is, quadratic equation. And so for linear equation, what we have is the following. We have our mathematical expression, which is shown right here, and on the right side of the screen we're going to select an action, and selecting an action implies the following. We have a couple of things that are revealed. One is solve for x and y, and while the other one is graph in 2D. So in here, we're going to look at first solve for x and y, and this is our solution to this particular relation between our two relations in here, linear relations. And so what we have is our x value to be 0.5 and our y value to be, in this case, negative 1.5. and so what you can do is just drag it to the main playground right here, and lo and behold, we have our solution addressed right over here. You can change the font size to maximum right here, and you can just address this to be your solution by writing it down, or you can put it in text format. Whichever one pleases you, you go for it. So in this case here, if I write it down as shown right here, you can just write solution. We have that written down, or if you want to transform these, we can go to ink to text, and that should give us that particular result for solution. So this is really brilliant to actually have these written down. Now the second one here is how we're going to get the steps that the computer or OneNote used to generate the solution to this particular question. And so there are a couple of things to keep in mind. If you want to check to confirm, you can pick any method of your choice, but for OneNote, what they brought up here is another drop down menu under your show steps, and you have three methods that are available. One is for substitution. You have the steps that are required. What you can do is click hold and drag to wherever part that you want, and voila, there we have it for our substitution. If you think that matrices will be a great method for you to learn, you can click on that, drag, hold, drag, and release, and you have it right there. And finally, here is for elimination. You can click, hold, and drag, and you have your elimination step right over there. Other interesting add-ons include the following. We have this speech particular immersive reader, and once we have these, we should be able to hopefully the system reading out every single step for you to listen and also follow as it goes. And so once you click on that,
steps using elimination. In order to solve by elimination, coefficients of one of the variables must be the same in both equations so that the variable will cancel out when one equation is subtracted from the other. Open brace 10x plus 4y equals minus 1, 8x minus 2y equals 7 close brace.
the next one here is how about quadratic equation? How are we going to get the equation in terms of the text form, and then get the specific solution and maybe steps as to how the solution was derived. So we have a specific question that is given here, and the question says y is equal to negative 5 x to the power of 2 plus 8x, and this is minus 3. And what we have here is we're going to transform this here to math by highlighting everything and then clicking on math, and what we have is this, and this doesn't look right to us. In general, it seems that we have greater than c squared, which is not what we want. So let's click on fix to see what this provides us. Click on fix, and then once you click on fix, you have this that we're going to highlight, and we're going to see a couple of reasonable equations that are here. The only reasonable equation that I see is the top one right here, which says negative 5x squared plus 8x minus 3. Once you click on that, we have this particular one that is provided, and this is what we want. We click on done, and we are good. Now what we can do is just change it to ink to math, and we have this equation right here in text format. You can change the size to whatever form that pleases you, and once you have that, we are going to move on to the next step, which is to get our solution, which is what is our x values where y is equal to 0. And what we do here is we're going to click on 1 here, which is solve for x, which means that once we solve for x, we have 2 values for x, and these 2 values are shown right here, and there are a couple of ways to arrive at this particular answer. And once we change the front to see what is it clearly, we see a couple of things that are really incredible in terms of the solution. And the solution, take note here, is we need to write that down to highlight what we are looking at. So this here is solution. Remember that if you want to change this to a particular text format, all you do is highlight it, click on ink to text, and this doesn't look nice in terms of what we want. So you know what, we're just going to leave it the way it is for now. And now we have this to be our solution for our x. And so when we put this particular solution now, our next step is to look at how this is going to look like in graph format. But we're not going to look at that for now. We're going to look at that on our next video, and in here we're going to look at solution in terms of the steps. How do we get these answers? And once you click on show steps, we have 2 methods of determining these particular answers. One is using the quadratic formula, and once you click on that, we see it right here, and we just click left hold and drag to this particular place, and we will be able to remember that yes, this equation was a valid equation that was used to determine the 2 solutions, and while the other method is using completing the square method, and this is how it is done right here. So this is incredible because not only are you able to determine what the answer is to confirm your method that best fits you, but also looking at which of the 2 methods or 3, depending on what question that you might be given, pleases your style of learning. And it's really incredible to see the step-by-step method. By the way, if you're given a new question, you can be able to replicate those steps to effectively communicate your math problems to everyone. So that is another method as well that is really important, or another way by which this particular tool is important in terms of improving your communication skill, because right now it's really challenging with how many people interpret various math problems, and being able to diversify your math skills will enable you to see how you can present a math problem in terms of the solution, so that everyone that reads it can understand it and also clearly replicate that particular step. So I hope you found this really informative in terms of not only being able to transform your ink format to your text format, but how to derive the solution using OneNote, and finally getting the steps on how, or methods on how to get the solution to not only a linear system of equations, but also a quadratic equation by determining what the x value is in here. So I hope you found this really informative. Please hit a comment down below. Let me hear your thoughts about this. On our next video, we're going to look at the other 2 math skills that are really relevant in terms of using OneNote. One is in terms of creating a grid to design a graph of your choice, and also the final one here, he's developing shapes and maybe 3D shapes. You never know. All the same, stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.